In 1961 and 62, the Hamilton Tiger Cats were involved in two unique firsts in Canadian football history. And in both cases, the Ticats came out on the wrong side of the scoreboard. Hello again, I'm Rick Samprin, and welcome back to the Fifth Quarter Show Seasons. If this is your first time watching this series, thanks for checking it out, and please consider subscribing as well. There will be tons of new content in the weeks and months ahead, including new episodes of Legends, our live free agency show on February the 11th, and the Fifth Quarter Show itself kicks off May 24th. It'll be here before we know it, following Hamilton's first preseason game of 2025. In episode 12 of the Fifth Quarter Show Seasons, we are traveling back in time to the year 1963. In 1963, McMaster University's hockey team, nicknamed the Marlins, won the first University Cup hockey championship after beating UBC 3-2 in the national final in Kingston. The Toronto Maple Leafs won their 11th Stanley Cup after they beat the Detroit Red Wings in Game 5 at Maple Leaf Gardens. Hamilton hockey star Dave Andreychuk was born. And 1963 also marked the first year in which the Canadian Football League averaged 20,000 fans per game. The Tiger Cats began the 1963 season with a chip on their shoulder. They had played in the Grey Cup final in 5 out of the last 6 years, winning in 1957 against Winnipeg, but then losing against the Blue Bombers in 1958, 59, 61, and 62. The 61 final was the first title game to be decided in overtime. And the 50th Grey Cup in 1962, known as the Fog Bowl, was played over 2 days after dense fog forced the game to be postponed. So when the 1963 campaign rolled around, the Cats were more determined than ever to be crowned champions again. And it started with a shakeup. Hamilton's second consecutive loss in the Grey Cup cost head coach Jim Trimble his job. Trimble had an impressive record of 60 wins, 36 losses, and 2 ties. But he was 10-8 in the playoffs, including a 1-4 mark in the Grey Cup. His replacement? Longtime assistant coach Ralph Sazio. The Italian-American had been with the Ticats since 1950 when he suited up for the team as a player and an assistant under Trimble. He retired from playing after the 1953 season, but remained on the coaching staff. Sazio's club was laden with veteran talents like Bernie Filoni, John Barrow, Angelo Mosca, Garnie Henley, and Tommy Grant. But there were some rookies as well that would make their mark in that year, including halfback Willie Bethea, center Gene Cepitelli, and Bob Krause, a 20-year-old defensive back who made the team fresh out of Hamilton's Central Collegiate High School. Kicking off the season in August, it took a while for Sazio's squad to click. Hamilton's first 7 games were like a roller coaster ride. A 30-7 win over Montreal, a loss against Saskatchewan by a score of 5-3, a 35-31 loss versus Calgary, a 20-16 victory against Ottawa, a 7-1 win over the Argos on Labor Day, and then close losses against Ottawa and then Toronto. With half the season in the bag, Hamilton had 3 wins and 4 losses, already equaling the number of losses Trimble's team accumulated in each of the previous 2 seasons. But on a clear Saturday night at Civic Stadium on September 21st, 1963, the Tiger Cats found their groove. Hamilton blitzed the BC Lions 38-21 in a game that would trigger an impressive run. Hamilton posted 7 consecutive wins, including 5 by double-digit margins, to close out the regular season with a record of 10-4. In the 2-game Total Point East final, the Ticats squared off against Russ Jackson and the Rough Riders. Ottawa's all-star quarterback was one of the superstars of the league, and in 1963, the Hamilton native was named the league's top Canadian for the second time in his career and won his first of 3 Most Outstanding Player awards. But the Ticats showed no mercy against Jackson and the Riders, hammering Ottawa 45-0 in the opening game at Lansdowne Park. 8 days later, Ottawa topped the Ticats 35-18, but Hamilton won the series 63-35. In the West Final, which was a best-of-3 series in those days, The league-leading 12-4 Lions took out Ron Lancaster and the 7-2 Saskatchewan Roughriders 2-1, punctuated by BC's 36-1 beatdown in the third and deciding game. The Lions' victory established another Grey Cup first, as they became the first team from British Columbia to play in Canadian football's championship game. Led by all-star quarterback Joe Kapp, superb running back Willie Fleming, and most outstanding lineman Tom Brown, the Lions were a force. But the Tiger Cats had a lot of confidence going into the 51st Grey Cup because they had already beaten the Lions during the regular season. However, that game was held at Civic Stadium in Hamilton. The 1963 final was going to be played at Empire Stadium in Vancouver. After a scoreless first quarter, Hamilton opened the scoring with a 5-yard TD pass from Filoni to Bethea and added a 1-yard touchdown run by rookie fullback Art Baker, while BC could only muster a field goal in the first 30 minutes. The biggest play of the game, according to many, came just before the halftime whistle. And decades later, it remains one of the most controversial in Grey Cup history. BC had the ball, and on a first down play at their 50-yard line, Hamilton's Pete Newman burst across the line of scrimmage and quickly had Kapp in his grasp. But the star quarterback managed to lateral the ball to Fleming. The elusive running back was brought down by Sepatelli, who made a shoestring tackle at midfield along the sideline. During that tackle, Mosca flung himself toward Fleming and slammed into his opponent with such force that BC's best offensive player was forced to leave the game with a concussion. 97 seconds into the third quarter, Filoni threw the ball to Hal Patterson, who scored a 70-yard touchdown. Well, BC scored their only points of the second half when Kapp tossed a 5-yard TD to Mac Burton with just over a minute to play. Final score, Hamilton 21, BC 10. After 4 straight failed attempts in the title game, the Ticats had finally won their third Grey Cup, and it came in Sazio's first year as head coach. Hamilton's most successful decade in franchise history was just getting started, but there would still be a bump or two down the road. I'll tackle that in the next episode of the Fifth Quarter Show Seasons, which drops every Tuesday on this channel. Episode 12 of Legends comes out on Thursday. And join me on the night of February the 11th for a special live show to recap the highs and the lows of day one of CFL free agency. And we'll do it all here on the Fifth Quarter. Until then, Oski Wee Wee.